Welcome back to Inspector Toolbelt Talk, everyone. So, it's a special day when we have David the Swede on. How are you, David?
Doing well, thanks. And I'm gonna rate your introduction there as a 4 out of 5. Much better than the last try.
So that's a good segue into our podcast about ratings. But I've been trying to work on my intros because it's like how do you introduce yourself? How do you introduce the wonderful world of Inspector Toolbelt and Inspector Toolbelt Talk in such a way that keeps it interesting each time?
And encapsulate the whole episode, the meat of the episode, into a small little sentence.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think you did it by giving me a rating.
Uh-huh.
I think I could have done a little bit better than 4 out of 5, but you know what? Next time, I'll try and do better. Thank you for your feedback.
How
How was
about
that
eight and a half
response?
out of 10? 8.5 out of 10.
8.5 out of 10. That's slightly better. That's 4.25. Yeah. Are we going to quarter stars now?
uh,
So, well, thank you for being on, David. I really appreciate you being here. I thought you'd be a good person to talk about this subject because I have said it before in this podcast. You have a skill that is extremely important, and it's a people skill, but not just a people skill. Like, I have people skills to a certain extent. Like, I can meet somebody, get to know them. I was really good at networking back in my early days of home inspections. I work well with people for the most part when it comes to business, but customer support, reviews, things like that, that's not my strong point. That is very much your strong point. You do really well at that. So
Thanks.
yeah, I'm glad to have you on here. You're still our most viewed picture on our Google My Business page.
Like, yeah, everybody hears about it now on the podcast, so they have to go look at it too.
Yep, everybody go look at David in a rowboat. Don't know how that picture made it to our Google Business page,
Uh,
but there it is.
yeah, I appreciate the praise, but I think I didn't tell you this beforehand, but I do have a story that might explain part of it, how I'm able to get along with people.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so this was in my early days in the US. One of my first jobs, I worked with a man with a brain injury.
Mhm.
He had hit his head really bad, could not remember things for anything. And literally, for the first, I want to say 2 or 3 months, he could not remember my name. And his first name was David. So, so it was that serious. And he had a good sense of humor. We got along really well. But the thing is, he had a history of like getting irritated because he had no patience with his own memory loss. And because of that, every time I came in there, I had to work really hard and making me feel positive, because like negative feelings really compounded, and the more irritated he got, the more stuff he forgot, and then again he got more irritated. So um, I managed, the supervisor said that usually people that worked with him lasted a month or two, but just by trying to get him in a positive mood every time I talked to him, um, managed to come back for a few years actually.
Well, so I mean, that's a testament to your natural skill. It's a skill that I think most of us lack because it's very hard to do. It's empathy. It's trying to put ourselves in the mind of the other person. What are they thinking and feeling? And it's draining for most of us. But you seem to have that natural knack for it, and a skill that you've developed over time. So I don't want to attribute it to just, hey, this just happened. You put work into it. But it fits very well into our subject today, which was actually requested by one of our listeners. And, if you ever are listening to our podcast here and you want to know more about a subject, write in, because actually a lot of our podcasts are based on somebody sending us an email saying, hey, can you talk about this? How do you handle this or that? By all means, send something in. So what's our subject today again, David?
So it is how to get good reviews, how to respond to bad reviews, and just how to be a great inspector and make sure people notice this.
Yeah, so basically it's all about reviews today. So I don't want to alienate anybody in this podcast, because if you're a new inspector, write this all down. But if you're an experienced inspector and maybe you've gotten reviews, we're going to have a few points that will help you hone your skills. Because even those of us who get a lot of reviews, there's some things that we could do to increase the number of reviews that we get and also the quality of the reviews that we get. So there's going to
Hmm.
be a little bit something in here for everybody. For the new guys, don't try everything all at once. It can be a bit overwhelming. Cherry pick the ideas. You know, Mike Ortiz, he's been on the show before. He says, I cherry pick stuff out of your podcast. You can't do it all. Just pick the things that work and then build off of that. Maybe come back in a couple of weeks or a couple of months and re-listen and pick out a few more things that you can apply.
Yeah,
So,
and when it comes to reviews too, I know that's always been a problem with any business. I went to a social media marketing seminar a few years back, and everyone in attendance, like, even though it was aimed at social media, everyone is like, but how do we get people to make reviews, and how do we get them to, make reviews when they're not just bad, but also when they're, happy or just satisfied.
yeah. So the two most common ratings that you'll see across almost any platform is 1 star or 5 stars. The lesser amount of reviews are anything in between. Most people don't leave reviews because it takes time out of their day. Um, Most people will leave a review 1 star when they're really upset, or 5 stars when they're extremely happy. So you have to get emotional extremes to solicit a result, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
reviews, though, are the lifeblood of our industry. Go back and listen to our podcast on the customer journey. We talk about that because, there's no such thing as a cold lead anymore. Like, you used to get cold leads. Here's a lead, let's convert it. You have what's called a customer journey. They find you and then they look you up. They basically cyber stalk our businesses to see, do I want to work with these people? And we're not going to get into it all today because we could do several podcasts on the customer journey, the psychology of it, all the little nuances and where they turn in that journey. It's insane. They teach college courses on it because it's a lot of psychology. We're not going to get into that. Let's talk about the main staple, the cornerstone of the customer journey, which is reviews. So let's talk about this. First of all, how to get reviews. So before we can start getting reviews, we need to remember we need to choose the right platform. And just from your experience, working with us for several years now, David, what are the main platforms that we should be thinking about using?
all starters, of course, everybody knows this answer probably. And Google is going to be your number one spot, just
Mm-hmm.
because for the majority of people that have either an Android phone or they're using Google Maps to search for things, that's going to be one of the first things they see. The review will be right there next to your business listing. So that's a big one to make sure that you have set up. But also you have Facebook. A lot of people do their searches on Facebook. It's probably a different generation than the Google searches, more so. But yeah, those are the ones that really will reflect more, like actually be visible to more clients than anything else.
Yeah, so if you just go to a search engine type of thing when people are going online looking you up, Google and Facebook, those are the big ones. While people talk about, oh, Facebook is dead, Facebook actually represents like something stupid like 40% of the world's population use Facebook. I'd have to go look up the statistic again. We actually had the actual statistic on the podcast we did back with Inspector Media last year, actually. But either way, a large chunk, whatever that number is, of the world uses Facebook. And Facebook is read into Google's algorithm. So when somebody looks you up and looking for reviews, Facebook is one of the primary data points that Google looks at. So, and the nice thing is you don't have a star rating, although they give it to you in the rendering of it. It's actually, do you recommend or do you not?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no middle ground like he did a great job, but I think his shoelaces could have been tied tighter, so they leave you a 3-star review. Do not use Yelp, in my opinion. We have dozens of reviews in Yelp from verified Yelp users and verified reviews that Yelp will not show. And I'm not accusing them of anything, but when those reviews started to build up, or they say, oh, we won't show these because we can't verify them, a sales rep called me and said, we can help you expedite the review of these reviews that aren't showing to see if we can get them shown for you if you were a paying user. And I'm like, wow, okay. whatever he meant by that, again, not accusing Yelp of anything, that didn't sit right with me. And one out of like 10 reviews will actually get shown on Yelp. Whereas Google, it's 9 out of 10. Google will reject some reviews if they don't look legitimate. Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
too. Facebook, you get a lot of spammy reviews. They're so lenient with it. But either way, those are the best platforms in my opinion. Try to avoid niche platforms. Like we might have something local, or maybe our software offers a rating system. Those are not as heavily relied on.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as you may not like it, Angie's List and Home Advisor reviews are actually read really well into Google's algorithm. So when people look you up, those are shown. I'm not suggesting using them because as companies, they're not my favorite, but they do work in some markets. But if I would use them before Yelp, let's put it that way. So
Yeah.
when we're getting reviews, we need to kind of automate it. Like in our software, Inspector Toolbelt, you can automate, hey, here's a link to our Google business page. Google will give you a shortened link, or you can use Bitly. So it's bit.ly.com. Is it, David?
No, bit.ly.
Bit.ly. Thank you.
And actually, a point on that. If you're using bit.ly, it's free to use. We're not affiliated with them anyway, so we don't make any money from sending it there. But you just create an account, you paste your link in there, and it shortens it to a very easy to remember link. But also, they have a setting where you get a QR code with it.
Mm-hmm.
That you can then add to your business card. People can just scan it for a quick link to your Google Google site where they can review you.
Yeah, and that's important. It needs to be simple. So I see a lot of guys, even companies that have sent me stuff. They send me this really long review link, and all they did was copy and paste their link that they have from Google into an email or a text message. Half the time in a text message, it doesn't render,
Mm-hmm.
and usually when I click on it, it leads me to their admin dashboard instead of where I can leave a review. Be very careful. Google, go to your Google My Business page. If you don't have one, start one. It's free. You can actually just Google it. How do I start a Google My Business page? Go to the official site, start it, and Google will have a little icon there when you're looking at your dashboard. It says Get Reviews. Click on that, and it will give you a shortened link already. But you can go to bit.ly online, and that will shorten it even more. The point is have a nice short link that people can just click on and automate it
Mm-hmm.
through email or text message. If we're manually sending stuff or asking people to review us, it's not going to work. Somebody says, hey, can you review me online? To the modern person, I'm like, you want me to go look you up online, trying to figure out who you are, find the link, go wherever here and there, and then leave you a review? It's just not happening.
Yeah,
We need to put it at their fingertips.
yeah. And with bit.ly, you can also, I almost forgot about this, you can customize that link. So I think you have like 10 you can do each month, but all you need is one single link. So you can put whatever you want after the bit.ly / and then you can have like, Ian's Home Inspection Company.
Yep, exactly. And so that's for the new guys. For the experienced guys, something that I see you guys doing all the time is called review gating. Do you know what that is, David?
I have no idea. I saw it on our notes for the podcast, and I'm like, I hope Ian explains that one because I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, so review gating is actually, according to Google regulations, something that they do not allow. Almost every platform says the same thing. So review gating is somebody says, you send out a link and you say, hey, do you like us or not? And if they click yes, then you bring them where they can leave a review. If they click no, then you actually bring them somewhere else and you say, can you leave me a form or tell us why? That's called review gating. We put a gate in front of the review. If we're software that does that, they can just shut the whole thing down. I don't know exactly the consequences if we're an individual user, but Google has officially said, do not do this.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do not want to get our reviews shut down, hypothetically, do not be review gating. Does it save you from the occasional bad review? It can. But as we'll talk about in a minute, that's not necessarily a good thing. Review gating, bad. If you're doing that, stop. Now let's hone our skills a little bit as to when the review goes out. So I will tell you, I spent years and thousands of inspections finding the exact right time, day, and way to get that review. So I tried, and you'll see lots of different things online if you do a little bit of research. And even some home inspectors say, I always send it the day after. I'll send it in an email the day after, or I send it to them in a text message before the inspection so that way they have it. Or whenever they send it. I know some guys that say, I don't send it until a week later, until they've had time to absorb the report. Here's the best times that I've found. So, first of all, a week or even a day later is too late, we found. Our our review numbers went way down when you went outside the same day. People basically didn't care about you at that point. They had the report, they knew what they were doing next, and unless they really loved you or really hated you, you didn't get a review, or you got way less. It was a considerable percentage less. Before the inspection, my problem with that is we've all been on the inspection with the client that as soon as we're 10 minutes in, we're like, this is not the person I want leaving me a review. This is not pretty. This is not going well. I saw just the other day some guy posting on one of the Facebook forums about a nightmare client. Left the inspection, came back, complained that he didn't actually see him enter a certain portion of the house, and you don't want that guy leaving you a review. Let's be honest. We're not review gating. We're just like let's just hold back what's going to happen here. If they already have the link, you can't stop that from happening. And I've actually had clients. Most of my clients have always been fantastic. 99.9%. It's that 0.1%, that 0.01% that kind of stick in your head. I've had some try to blackmail me into doing stuff, or you know what? I'll leave you a bad review. It's like, all right, and you can handle that, but it's like they already have the link. It just kind of adds to that situation. So here's my secret sauce. 1 hour into the inspection, not in an email, but as a text message, and directly to the buyer, not to the agents, but to the buyer. That, over thousands of inspections and over many years, ended up being by far the best. And here's why. About an hour into the inspection, we usually get there half an hour early. And so we're an hour and a half into the inspection by then. They've seen us go into the nastiest of crawl spaces. They've seen us go over the exterior, give our driveway speech, meet us. We've answered most of the questions that they've had, if not all of them, at that point. And then at an hour into the inspection, almost invariably, we're either in the attic or our feet are dangling from the ceiling going in. It was just the perfect time. So when they're standing there, they're like, this guy's amazing. Boom, ding on their phone. Here's a quick link. Can you leave us a review? As one of my guys is hanging from the ceiling upside down.
They're like, he's crawling in my crawl space and texting me at the same time. It's amazing.
But I tell you what, it works. So they say, hey, are you in? And we always word it like this, something like, are you enjoying the inspection? If
but
so,
in a
leave
much
us
more
a
creepy
review.
tone.
Yeah, not in the creepy Batman voice. But it was always the perfect time. Now, an hour in, we'd usually have a good sense of the situation, and we could stop the review link from going through. If we're like, oh man, he is just angry at life, we could just quickly go on our phone and click. So you can do this all with an Inspector Toolbelt. So you can schedule it so that the text message goes out to the buyer at 1 hour into the inspection, whatever software we use. That has always been my secret sauce. I'll save you years and thousands of inspections. 1 hour after the inspection starts. That's the sweet spot. Our numbers have never been better. So there you go. Went off a
Sounds
little
like good
bit on
advice.
that. Yeah. Remember though, most people aren't going to leave reviews. I don't know what the percentage of people that actually leave reviews, David. Do you?
I have no idea, but I mean, I know it's low. It
Yeah.
does throw you off though when you see, you go on Amazon, you see 5,000 reviews for a potato peeler. You're like, did 5,000 people really leave a review for this?
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second because you bring up a good point. So That's not review gating. That is something completely different where it's review harvesting. People always question those kind of reviews. I know I do. It's like, how come the most popular television on Amazon has 800 reviews, but this television that nobody's ever heard of and that's half the size and it's from some country that I've never heard of has, like you said, 5,000 reviews. And I started looking through the reviews and I'm like, these are overly complimentary,
Mm-hmm.
or this just doesn't make sense. It's review harvesting. And we may do that without realizing it. I see new guys do this all the time. I had one guy say, "Hey, can you remove this review for me from Google My Business, or at least not display it on my website because it's my brother, has the same last name as him."
Mm-hmm.
And some of the other ones, I'm like, that sounds like it's probably your cousin, your uncle. This one's probably your buddy from high school. People like you and me, we're going to pick up on that. And most of our clients, people who buy homes, are people who have a measure of intelligence and things together so that they can financially afford the grossly expensive buildings that we have now in society. They're going to have some stuff together, so expect them to notice.
Mm-hmm.
It if you want reviews and you're a new guy, do not go that route. There was actually a home inspector not far from me where he got his Google business page shut down for quite some time. And it's because other home inspectors reported him because they saw him review harvesting. His page got shut down, hurt his business for quite some time, and they got it put back up. But I noticed not as many reviews. Google does not like review harvesting,
Yeah.
and it's going to ruin trust.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, I did see a documentary on it too. How the professional companies do it, where they have basically a room full of phones, and they
Really?
just yeah, yeah. You
What's
can probably
what's
find it on YouTube.
what's this documentary called?
Can't remember, but it was specifically on the review harvesting business because it is a huge business, and it's usually in countries outside of the jurisdiction, so they can't really go after them. But they literally have phones just running, and companies pay them to get thousands of positive reviews. There are, for the most part, you can read through them and they sound normal, but you will find that a lot of the reviews are very, like, if you scroll through Amazon, you have 5,000 reviews for a potato peeler, like I said. You can see, like, this is a very good peeler. I like peeling potatoes with it. So it's probably AI generated, and but they assume that people are just going to be like, this is the highest rated peeler on Amazon. Must be great.
Yeah, and Google has a little bit more of a tougher policy on that than Amazon does, really. Matter of fact, we're not going to get into this, but Google is suing a company for fake reviews. So if you're listening, look that up. It's actually an interesting read. I've been following the case. Don't want to get too much into it, but Google is suing them for a lot of different reasons. So don't do that. So some guys ask me, what can I do instead? If I've never done an inspection, I can't have a review. If I don't have any reviews, no one will hire me. So there's a couple things you can do. You want to be 100% honest and learn. Do you want to go out there and do your first inspection with 100 fake reviews? It's just, first of all, it's kind of icky, and second of all, it people are going to figure that out. They're like, how do you have 150 reviews already and you've been an inspector for 2 months?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Well, we've already talked about that. Starting off, try to do things legitimately. Can you, and I'm not, some guys are going to email me after this and be like, you're telling people to work for free. So this is not what I'm saying. But think about it this way. Do you have a contractor friend? Say, hey, do you mind if I come and inspect that foundation for you before you guys start working on it? Sure. Have him really critique you. And if you did a good job, ask him for a review. Can you leave me a review? Actually do your job. I'm not talking about go and say, hey, can you leave me a review? Go and physically do your job. Do you have somebody that you're practicing on? Like, you're going to inspect their house, provide them a report, say, critique me on this. What do you think I could have done better? What did you think I did good? Did well, rather. Then ask them for a review. You want legitimate reviews. Try not to get family. It's just going to look weird and they're going to be
Mm-hmm.
over complimentary. Find some contractor friends. Even like an agent. So say you offer radon as an ancillary inspection. Can you find an agent and say, hey, I'll do this radon test at cost. It cost me $58 for the kit and mailing. Can I just do this on your house? Oh, sure. So double whammy. You didn't lose any money. They'll leave you a good review for radon, not necessarily for home inspections, but it still adds to your radon to your ratings in general. And
Mm-hmm.
now you've met an agent who might use you for a home inspection later on.
Yeah, and you say that people are going to be upset because you're staying to work for free, but when you think about it, if you're willing to pay for marketing, that's basically what you're doing now.
Yeah, it's unpaid marketing. You're
Mm-hmm.
just doing it. Um, it's really important that you legitimately do something. Going and asking people for reviews, not without actually doing anything, is not going to be real. I can smell a fake review from a mile away half the time. At least I would
Mm-hmm.
like to think so. And a lot of people can, like you just talked about. So if we're
Yeah.
new, get legitimate reviews. There's a home inspector I know that did that. He went to an engineer, a friend. Can I look at this? And you critique me. If I did a good job, leave me a review if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And he got a lot of good reviews for legitimately doing things that are part of what we do as a home inspector.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, you don't think about that when you try to get these fake reviews, but Google tracks how many reviews you left in the past. So if this is the first review a person leaves, that's a dead giveaway that it's someone doing you a favor. If they only had an account for a few days,
Yeah.
someone created an account just to give you an extra review. So yeah, avoid all those things.
Yeah, I actually click on reviews and see who left them. And if I get through 5 or 6 and they've only left one review for this one company, then I just kind of move on. I don't use companies that look like they have fake reviews.
Mm-hmm.
But think about this before. So that's the first point. But let's think about this. Have realistic expectations. One of my favorite restaurants, about 15 minutes from me, serves hundreds of people on any given Friday night. They'll do 3 rotations of guests, and then that doesn't even count Saturday and Sunday. So hundreds, if not 1,000 or more people every weekend. They have like 180 reviews, and they've been open for years.
Mm-hmm.
So just remember that we're not going to get everyone to leave a review, even if they're super excited. Some people just don't like to do it. I'm a heavy reviewer. I don't know about you, David. Do you review a lot?
I'd like to brag a little bit about myself. I'm a star reviewer on Google. They told me so. I'm among the top, so among the percent of reviewers.
Wait. Okay. What level are you?
I don't know. I can look it up.
I'm a level 8.
Level eight.
Or wait, am I a level? I'm a level 7 or a level 8. I just went up. I can't remember which one I went up to. But they said I'm in the top 5% of reviewers in the nation. How about you?
Ooh, yeah. I gotta look it
What
up.
did you say? You got to look it up. Okay, but it's it's just funny. It's a little. I view it as like a little bit of a game that I play. I love to leave reviews. My policy though is I only leave good reviews because I find that bad reviews are not constructive. If I have a bad experience, I'll actually go and email that company. Say, I'm not going to leave a bad review. Here's my experience. Most of them are
Mm-hmm.
appreciative of it. If I have so the worst thing you can do to a restaurant, that old expression is just never go again. So that's just what I do. I just never go again for anything that I review. But Google keeps sending me these things now. Like it asks me to review things. Like I don't know, about a month ago, it asked me to review a bathroom. Like I walk out of this public restroom and it said, "Will you review this bathroom?" And I'm looking at my phone. At first, I thought it was a joke, and not to be crude, but I left a review. I said
Hmm.
it was great. Would poop here again. no,
You left a
um,
2-star rating.
I didn't know what to do. I'm like, how is Google asking me, to review bathrooms now? But you can review anything now, apparently.
Yeah.
But so there it is. To get reviews, number one, automate it. Have software like ours that you can automate emails and text messages. The sweet spot, again, I've tested this out over years and thousands of inspections painstakingly. 1 hour after the start time of the inspection. So for us, it would be an hour and a half after we've already started. That's the best spot for us. Do not review gate. Do not review harvest, and keep things real and genuine. because that's really what makes real genuine content on the internet is hard to find. And when people find it, they're drawn to it. Real genuine
Mhm.
reviews, people are actually drawn to that. It's nothing that you can really mimic. So, what's the
Yeah.
next subject that we're going to talk about, David?
Now we're gonna talk about the bad side of reviews, what really can hurt you, how to respond to them and such.
Yeah, we've written blog posts on this. We've talked about
Hmm.
it before, and I still see some of the worst responses to bad reviews. I have a policy if we get a review that even sounds bad, which we haven't gotten a lot. Um, I'm trying to think back. I think my companies probably only have maybe three. One was a 3-star review and two 1-star reviews or something like that. Not a lot. But every time it's happened, I've always felt my emotions go up. I start to
Hmm.
shake, my blood pressure goes up. So the first thing I do is I do not touch it for a whole day. I can't do it.
Yeah,
Not
that's
going to make a
smart.
good decision. So if we get a bad review, or we perceive it as a bad review. So I've seen guys get a 3-star review, really fantastic inspector showed up on time and they leave 3 stars. Or they give him one tiny little critique. He didn't put his shoe booties on. Oh, okay. So 3 stars is not a bad review. I don't look at 3 stars as a bad review for any company. Some people, they'll never leave a perfect review.
Hmm.
So before we freak out, look at it. So, first of all, 3-star review. All right. Wait your 24 hours. Did we maybe forget to put our shoe covers on, the little shoe booties? Okay, maybe we should start doing that more. That actually is constructive because they could have left a 1-star review. Maybe they said something else. We're like, you know what? Maybe I could adjust that a little bit. Or maybe they didn't say anything else and they still gave us 3 stars.
Hmm.
Okay, that's not a bad review. 1 star, now that's a bad review. I've never actually seen. Has anybody actually ever seen somebody leave 2 stars? What's the point of having 2 stars?
I don't know. It
Um,
was bad,
it's
but not the worst.
Yeah, exactly. What are you saying that you're not committing?
No,
Um,
no. I don't think I can't remember ever leaving one myself, but yeah,
oh,
a lot
I'm
of
sure. I'm
times
being facetious. I'm sure there's 2-star reviews
there
out
might
there.
be.
I just like
Yeah,
what
we don't want to make them feel bad for leaving 2 stars. There's nothing wrong
I
with
just
you.
don't I don't understand 2 stars.
But yeah, for myself, I'm like your average person. It's a 1 star or a 5 star, and my reasoning by I I usually hesitate even leaving a 4 star review, which is a good review,
Hmm.
just because if there's a business and they have a 4.5 star rating, I know if I leave a 4 star review, I'm actually not helping them at all. I'm actually lowering their rating.
Yeah, and at 4 stars, you want to. That's what I'm saying. It's at 4 stars. Might as well leave them a 5 star. You know,
Hmm.
because if they were that good, was it really that bad to leave them one less star and bring down their rating?
Yeah, maybe you should switch from review stars to list thumbs up or down.
Like, well, that's what Facebook does.
Uh huh.
Facebook actually doesn't have stars. It renders properly, but you either recommend, it renders with 5 stars, but you either recommend or you don't, thumbs up or thumbs
Yeah.
down.
Well,
But
they know what they're doing.
they do. I think Google should learn from them. But here's my process. So first of all, if it's a client I know and they aren't really angry, and I read the review and it's like, oh, they must not have read the report, I try to contact them very calmly. Hey, I saw your review. I can appreciate your opinion. Did you look on page 34? Ah, geez, I'm sorry, Ian. This whole process has been stressful, yada, yada, yada. And then the review's gone. I had one where they were upset because there was no insulation in their porch. So I contacted them. I'm like, it's a porch. And they're like, oh, good point. And then they revised their review. I'm like, that was a weird one, but okay. Try kindly contacting them. I say
Hmm.
kindly because our first inclination is attack,
Hmm.
fix. We're not going to fix. We're not going to attack. We're going to just talk with them, make them feel heard. And some people are not going to react that way.
No.
Some people are just going to be like, "You're a jerk, and I'm leaving you a 1 star." Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny if you've ever seen on those late night shows where they do a reading of bad reviews on. I think it's on Yelp. They do those. They actually have some actors are visiting, reading through the reviews back and forth between the owner and the reviewer. And it can really show you, even though it's hilarious to listen to them read through it, it's a terrible, terrible marketing for the restaurant or whatever it is they're reviewing, because you never accomplish anything by responding
Mhm.
angrily to a bad review.
Yep. And even if we aren't angry in our response, I do this, and you've actually told me, like, sometimes I've sent something to somebody and I've copied you on it, and you're like, your tone didn't sound good. I'm like, really? I feel like I should have put a smiley. I felt like I was doing awesome, but my tone was wrong. People are going to read their own emotions into it. So if we leave a response, we thought we did amazing, and the person just gets angrier, and they can revise
Mm-hmm.
their review to make it even angrier and angrier. So have somebody look over your response. General rule: wait 24 hours. Have somebody objective, not our wife or husband or our brother who's just as angry as us. Somebody objective. How do you think this looks? If you're
Mm-hmm.
one of our clients, shoot me an email. Clients do this all the time. Ian, how do you think this response looks? And I've actually gone and said, maybe you could put it a little bit differently here, or thank them more. Also, put your main kind rebuttal in the first half of the first sentence, because most people don't read the responses all the way through from the owners, but the response from the owner is extremely important. How you respond can actually win you work. But so maybe they didn't read the report. You can say, thank you, comma. I notice on page 34 of your report that we put this in here. If there is something that we could have done to draw more attention to that part of your report, please let us know. We're glad that we
Mm-hmm.
found this for you, but we want to make sure that our clients thoroughly read their reports. So you put your rebuttal in the first half of the first sentence on page 34. So when anybody reads your response, the first thing they see is, these guys didn't read their report,
Mm-hmm.
but in a very kind way. I had we're going to go off on a tangent here just real quick, but I had
Mm-hmm.
people that left me a bad review one time, and I called out a roof, 2 layers of shingles, and the shingles were just trash. There was nothing left to them. They had removed framing members from the floor of this old 1700s house, and so I called for a structural contractor. And my foot almost went through the floor. A structural contractor to put in the floor joists. You needed those. You could see where they were removed. I'm no genius, but floor joists, I think you need
Good
those.
things.
Yeah. And so and then the roof. So the buyers came back and they said the sellers hired contractors and they said the home inspector was wrong. And I'm like, okay. So I kindly responded, thank you. If you notice on page 34, the shingles were deteriorated. If you notice on page this, and then I ended it very short and brief. I really appreciate your opinions. I really want to make sure that all of our clients are happy. I would have. I would imagine that you probably would have been more unhappy if we didn't report on these issues and you had moved in and found out about them. Hopefully, you get your own contractors to look at these things to make sure that your home is safe for you and your family. I got more work for years after from that review than any of my good reviews. It was awesome. People kept coming back to me and would specifically mention that without me asking. We hired you because of your response. That was perfect. We could tell you know your stuff and
Mm-hmm.
that you would treat us right. So,
Yeah.
how we
No, I've
respond
done
is
that
important.
myself too. Like I read the reviews and I'm like, oh, I wonder what this 1 star review is for. And you see the response to it. You're like, yeah, that makes sense. This guy is being a jerk. Just I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna still hire this guy. Yeah. So
Yep.
that is very
And
true.
I look at that too when I go someplace to eat or shop or do whatever, and I see the owner's responses. Sometimes I'm like, I gotta meet this guy. Like the owner's responses are just like so spot on. Like one guy complained about or no, it was some lady complained about the bugs at at this plant nursery, and I'm like, but I mean, there's plants,
Yeah. There's gonna be
so
bugs.
there's gonna be bugs.
Hope
Um,
you're not planning on gardening later.
yeah, exactly. But the owner's response was just like polite, but like just spot on. So how we respond is important. So I always like to see if I can talk to the client if they're just angry. That's going to be what they're going to be. Um, how we respond to the review is important. Don't divulge too many details because we don't want to go on the course of, you know,
Yeah.
hey,
Hey,
here's
Steven.
the address, here's your name,
Yeah.
here's all this stuff. Just there it is. And sometimes people leave bad reviews, even competitors, from somebody else's name. You get a bad review and you have no idea who this person is.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's an agent. I've had agents leave bad reviews. Whatever it is, just kindly say, "Hi, I think you might have the wrong company. We have no record of ever working with you. If you'd like to schedule an inspection, we're happy to take a look at any of the issues the other inspector missed for you. Here's our
Mm-hmm.
number." You can't help those. And bad reviews can add legitimacy to your business. On average, a person will trust a company with 4.5 to 4.9 star reviews than they will somebody who has a perfect 5 star, ironically, because it makes you look more legitimate. I've
Mm-hmm.
always thought that was a weird thing, that it was more legitimate if you had one bad review or a couple bad reviews mixed in with all the good ones.
No, it makes sense to me. Just think about, go out on the street and meet 10 people. You're probably going to meet one jerk. It's almost impossible. So if you have 100 reviews, everybody left you 5 stars. It's not real people.
Wait a second, David. How many people are in our company?
Not enough. Not enough. There's no
Not
jerks
enough?
in our
Okay,
company.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Whew. Good. So we're only one person away, maybe? I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
have to go back and count. So the last thing on this point, though, is at times you can have the review removed. So I've actually removed bad reviews for others when I've seen the review being bad. So as funny as it is being a level 7 or level 8 Google reviewer, you actually get this weird magical power
I'm only
online.
5. I just
You know,
checked.
you see, you're only 5. You need to escalate your reviewing. So if you haven't someone that Google trusts as a what they call a local guide or local expert, whatever they happen to be calling it at the time, and they mark a review as being bad, Google actually escalates that and say, okay, is this review actually bad? Is it legitimate? Should it be removed? I've removed fake good reviews. I just click on it. I said, this looks like a fake review. And I've clicked on bad reviews. I'm like, this looks like spam or a competitor. And it has to be legitimite. Like, you can't
Mm-hmm.
just wave your wand and all this stuff gets removed. I've had clients where they're like, hey, this person left me a bad review. I won't go in there and click it as spam if it was actually their client. But
Mm-hmm.
now I've seen some where I'm like, this is very obviously spam. This is not cool what this other person is doing, and I'll click on it and I'll say remove review. Like 80% of the time they'll remove it, not all the time, but the more people that you get to do it, the more likely it'll be removed. The higher the level of the person removing the review, the higher the chance. So that does happen. Don't let people tell you that it doesn't happen. I do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm in my own local area, I do it all the time. The next thing is you can hire an attorney if you get a bad review for what's called a libel suit. So I actually did this once with an attorney. I had a seller get mad because they actually had a great house, almost no defects. I wrote down that they had this old style uh, bay window on the back of the house, and I didn't mark it as a defect. I just made a notation in the report. Watch these; they have a tendency to leak. Make sure you seal them and regularly take care of them. And then in their garage, the pest guy was there, and I was doing a pest inspection too. I don't know why the buyers hired 2 pest inspectors. The guy pulled back some boards, and there was carpenter ants everywhere. I'm like, oh, so I take a picture, and I say, okay, carpenter ants. It's like $200-300 treatment at the time. Seller flipped out, left bad reviews everywhere, multiple ones. It was insane. Like, people were messaging me. They're like, well, there's bad reviews everywhere. And it was this one person. So I tried to reason with her, but finally it came down to Internashi's attorney at the time, Mark Cohen, I believe his name was. I forget. Really nice guy. I said, hey, can you help me out? I said, sure. So he looked it up and he's like, oh, this lady meets all the criteria. So for a libel suit, as he explained, they need to have malintent being one of the criteria. They are working hard to do harm to your company. Number 2, they need to falsify information. And I forget what the third one is offhand, but basically, they have to like have something accusatory. He used some legal mumbo jumbo,
Mm-hmm.
but basically, she met all the criteria. She one accused me of falsifying my reports, which is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, she said in the review, I hope this review prevents anyone else from ever using this guy. She was mad, claiming that none of the stuff was there. The people bought the house. They weren't even negotiating. She was just mad at the report. I still don't understand this. But he wrote a letter and he quoted case law. There's a case law in Pennsylvania and some other states which set precedents. So a libel suit for a bad review with falsified information and with malintent has no limit to damages. So if I damage your house, how much does it cost to fix? Those are your damages, and that's what you can sue me for. With a libel suit in this case, there was no limitation to damages. Turns out this lady was a journalist and she kind of knew about it. So when the attorney sent the letter, she kind of wrote an angry letter back, but she took all the reviews down because she knew this guy has me over a barrel. Because and we recorded every one of her reviews, every rendition of it, because she kept changing them. And so then I just basically, the attorney sent her, here's all the reviews, boom, every rendition of them, and all of your intent. So take screenshots, take your records, but to go that far is a big deal. There was the big case law that happened was a contractor sued a guy for leaving a bad review. And this is actually what created the federal case law for all of this. You can look it up because the attorney at the time actually included it in his letter. It ended up being a stalemate because the contractor did things to get back at the owner of the home.
Of course,
so the judge said, "What's that?"
Of course he did.
Yeah, of course he did. Instead of waiting, he could have had hundreds of thousands of dollars or more, but instead he went and got revenge. But the attorney said basically the damages now are equal to each other, which I thought was an interesting outcome. But the result of that case was there were damages. So if you can show that they didn't, you can't stop people from expressing their opinion. They say, I didn't like his report and I think he missed some things that I would have rather he picked out. That's not a libel suit. That's just their opinion. You can't sue people for having an opinion about you.
Unfortunately.
So you just move on. Yeah, exactly. So you just move on with those. Yeah. Follow the other steps. If you have a real libel suit, contact an attorney. See what he says. But they're really hard cases. You spend years doing them. Most of the time, it just gets taken down with a letter. But I remember that one particular case, we had an attorney handle it. But we kind of hung on that point for quite a bit. This is such a big subject. But let's just talk real briefly how we can make our reviews work for us, though. So that's the third point. What can we do? So now we have all these good reviews. I know lots of guys have good reviews, and then they're just like, now what do I do? Wait till people find them? What are some things you can do, David?
No, that's definitely use good reviews in your marketing. So if you ever use Canva, very easy program to create your own social media posts in. You can take the text from that review, just copy and paste it into Canva and get some cool fonts, cool background, but like, thank you so much, so-and-so, for your nice review. And then you can have that on your website as, part of the marketing. A lot of websites will have a spinner with reviews pulled directly from Google. So if you have that set up on your website already, hopefully that review will populate. And even your social media, put it on Facebook, Twitter, whatever you're using, TikTok, if you're modern and young, just make sure that people see it.
Yeah. So a couple other things just to add to David's information there. Social media is going to be extremely important. You get a review, blast that out everywhere. Now, if you're a bigger company and you're getting 3 a day, okay, tone it down and maybe only highlight the really good ones. Even just keep it down to, remember the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, it's about the client, 20% about you. So don't stop posting good, awesome content to just blast everybody with the reviews because they're going to get tired of seeing that. A couple times a week, maybe. Respond to every single review. So when's the last time you went through your Google business profile or Facebook page and responded to every review, and not just thank you, ! Write something meaningful. Thank you. We really appreciated working with you. Hope you and your family, enjoy the new home. Add something meaningful and different to each one. If you can't do that, stop, take a break, and come back the next day until you can.
And this goes well too when you have several inspectors in your company. Actually check with those inspectors. Like, do you have anything to say about the client that we could add to the response?
Yeah, exactly. And for the social media thing, I've been watching a couple of inspectors online, and I love it. They actually have either them or somebody in their company read some of the reviews, and it's so if you want to keep it professional, cool. Hire somebody on Fiverr or somebody, do a good voiceover, read the review. I don't think people pay attention to that as much, There's a couple of inspectors that like they'll have like this really crazy backdrop, and they'll be up on a roof. I want to read this really loudly. And they'll read the review with the wind blowing, and it's entertaining to watch. It draws attention to this 5-star review. We don't have to be goofy about it if we're not goofy, but
But you can.
but you can. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And people like that, especially on TikTok. That's going to grab more attention. Like you're in a crawl space, you have your mask on, have subtitles under it, and all you can hear is the inspector go
Mhm.
and have subtitles. I'd like to read you our latest 5-star review, and then after you read the review, you just kind of crawl off into the dark in the crawl space. Oh man, I love that stuff. I look for it. I'm like, I can't wait till they get another review because I want to see what they're going to do next. Like you open the door to the closet and they pop their head out of the attic access and they're like, here's our latest 5-star review. So if you really want a cool idea, if you take anything away from this podcast, hopefully you listen that long because we're a little bit longer than we usually are on our podcast. Try that out. Read your reviews in funny, interesting ways and have some fun with it. And people really notice it. But my big takeaways, David, 1 hour into the inspection, that's the
Mhm.
key for automating your reviews. Responding to a bad review, if anything, just wait till the next day. Be calm, kind, courteous, but the first thing, wait till the next day. Never respond the same day. Get our emotions calm. And third, heck, man, read the reviews in fun ways that people will enjoy and put it on TikTok. So, anything else to
Perfect.
add, David?
Yeah, I want to go back to one point. I want to hear an episode on how many home inspectors actually use those booties when they go in for inspections.
Well,
And
wait a
different
minute.
brands and reviews. Yeah.
What's going to be the title of our episode about booties?
Your home inspector's booty.
All right. Well, I knew we were going to digress at some point.
It happens.
It happens. Might as well be the end of the episode. David, awesome having you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ian.
Talk soon.